where not only 21's rhymes are more subpar than usual, but occasionally they just defy logic altogether. I'm ballin' like Nowitzki, whoa. I get head like Lewinsky. If we're to follow the logic that he is doing the action described with the amount of proficiency as the person he references in the line, then how does the second line make sense? Lewinsky didn't get head, she gave head. So I can only assume that he's rapping about giving head here, but I know he doesn't mean it that way. And that's not to say his writtens reach a much higher standard, like on this line. My jewelry, twinkle, twinkle, doing donuts in the foreign while it sprinkles. You keep calling, I'm ignoring, bitch, I'm single. You keep calling, bitch, I'm single like a Pringle. Pringles are not single. Pringles are many. There are many that come in one single can of Pringles. Wherever could you find or buy a single Pringle? Maybe he's trying to say that he's with a lot of people or that he's not single and that's why she should leave him alone, but he's already established in the previous line that he is single and that his interest in her isn't dependent on whether or not he's with someone. So there are moments on this album where 21 makes no sense. He literally makes no sense. Or he's dropping like these little splashes of homophobia. Which brings me to a little segment I want to do in this review. The worst bars on this Kodak Black album. This one's good, where he says he gets stupid to the point where I guess he is autistic. Here's one where he says he makes the pussy feel like mac and cheese. And a few more other amazing comparisons where he says he gets that pussy wetter than chicken noodle soup. The pussy sounds like ramen noodle soup. And the pussy also sounded like he's stirring up some gumbo. Damn. Here's a classic. I'm swaggin', I got flavor, I got sauce, call me ragu. I love my baby pussy. I'm swaggin', I got flavor, I got sauce, call me ragu. I love my baby girl pussy bald, call her Caillou. This one particular track titled Reminiscing has a feature from Boogie with a Hoodie. And Kodak drops a line saying, got a booger in my nose, a boogie on the chorus. Here he is, Jimmy Neutron with the rocket. Actually, that line's kind of dope. But on the fourth bar of this hook over here, Kodak Black makes mention of Medicaid, I guess to kind of remind us that the United States is the only industrialized nation without a single-payer universal healthcare system. Come on, guys, stop fucking up. Even Kodak Black knows this shit's fucked. And I don't even want to go into the logic of this final line, but it's a love song where Kodak Black says to the love interest of the track, I'm here to stay. I love you like you're my kid, like you my kid. He loves him like they're his kid. And by the way, I want you to have my kid. This person, you love them like they're your offspring, but then you want to have offspring with them. Sadly, most of the bars on this record are not as gut-bustingly hilarious. We just kind of have a lot of violent, druggy, hypersexual gangsterisms that you might have heard on other artists' records or other Kodak Black records. Also, stunning bars like, I'm a candle, I'll go out if you're blowing me, and getting head in a bucket, Marshmallow. The track Marsh not only sports one of the worst choruses on the entire record, but some of the worst lines stacked on top of each other too. I get dough like Ed Sheeran, so call me the gingerbread man. How could I hit a dry spell? I'm named after the wetlands. I look up to myself like a fucking headstand. Right now I live in an igloo and I'm not chillin' the fuck out. Much of everything else on this LP is either good or close enough and then is kneecapped by 1, 2, or 3 really bad lines. Like at one point where he's rapping about other artists who are essentially students of his style, saying that it seems like the more they studied my music, the more they remind me of eyeballs. I'm watching my pupils get cornier, cornea. Though I guess at least M is willing to acknowledge that copycats of his style are really corny, and maybe you should take this as a hint from the god to stop. He does put out a simile though where he compares himself with a liar's pants, saying he's on fire though. It's a bit much. And when I do understand what Kodak Black is saying, it's not even remotely clever or catchy. There was one line on here about him sort of like dropping Molly into a birthday cake, or making just like putting Molly into the recipe, or putting a little bit of codeine in the Minute Maid. One moment where a doctor was telling him to eat his veggies, so he's now smoking broccoli. A lot of food to drug references. One line that kind of confused me about he's sorry about forgetting about someone's birthday, but then he doesn't give a fuck about a birthday, or someone doesn't give a fuck about a birthday. I honestly have a hard time focusing on the lyrics because on tracks like Today, Kodak Black barely sounds alive. Like, there should be EMTs on standby at the studio because he sounds like he's just about to pass out. There's one line on the song Bank where he's like, I be painting pictures, but I picture paint. What? I'm just so confused. I mean, her lyrical talents on this EP haven't exactly improved. It feels like love. I don't know if I've felt this before. It feels like love. Come on, baby, pour me some more. And then she proceeds to sing Is This Love in a robot voice. There are, of course, some struggle bars on this track, like I've got so many chains, call me Channing Tatum. She fights with him at the Cheesecake Factory, which is definitely one of the top 5 most hilariously bad lines on this entire project. She takes his Bugatti down to CVS to go get Kotex, and Drake does the wussiest, most passive-aggressive thing ever, and instead of confronting her about it, he hides the car keys. It's like a storyline out of a reality show where a old white CEO with more money than he knows what to do with has a fetish for black women and habitually picks them up at clubs in urban areas only to whisk them away to his expensive mansions and so on and so forth, and then he tries to force them to act the way that he wants them to act, like the song 9, which features struggle bars like this, or the cut Faithful, which has a badly placed Pimp C feature that just seems like it shouldn't be there. It just should not be there. I don't see how he could possibly co-sign struggle bars like this on this track. And at the very end of this little snippet of vocals that are inserted into this track, R.I.P. Pimp C, he says explicitly the only person in the game he fucks with is Bun B. He literally says it in his verse. So you're taking a man's rap verse, a dead man's rap verse, in which he explicitly says the only person he fucks with is his partner in UGK. You're putting it on some other rapper's rap song, and Bun B on this track, of course, is nowhere to be found, which features the beautiful bar, "You toyin' with it like Happy Meal." God, where are the ghostwriters? Where are the ghostwriters on this one? We get struggle bars. He says that he saw potential in you, like when Chrysler tried to make that one car that was just like the Bentley, and that's literally what Drake says, and it doesn't even like flow rhythmically with anything else that he's saying or singing. It just kind of seems like this weird meandering simile that he tries to make, the most struggled simile on this entire record. It's like Drake found a lot of these lines in Bob P. Struggleton's orphanage for abandoned rap similes, and seeing all these just starved, ugly, unloved similes just broke his heart so much that he decided to all give them a home on this record. I mean, bars heavy like Triple XL is one of many very thin, starving similes on this album that are just filler lines that just don't really add anything to this album. They're not clever, they're not interesting, they're not funny, they don't cause you to rewind, they don't cause you to actually even remember what Drake is rapping about, saying, really anything. It's forgettable, and that's this album's biggest crime. So much of what's here is forgettable. And the song Please Shut Up, the hook on this thing, please shut up, please shut up. Please shut up. This is easily one of the dumbest hooks I've heard, not just this year, but probably this decade. You know, that and I just wanna be your friend. It's like reading amateur LiveJournal poetry from an emo kid circa 2002. Only time I feel pain when I feel love. That's why it's tatted on my face, I'm that damn numb. Only time in my mind when I'm all alone, that's why I'm never alone in the nighttime. My favorite line on the entire project, so nobody wants death, 'cause nobody wants life to end. Such sad, very emotion, much dark, many profound. And the lines deeper into the song do not get any better. I mean, occasionally they border on funny, like this one where he's talking about waiting on death with a smile on his face. Exactly the kind of line you write when inspired by the visual of your Heath Ledger Why So Serious Joker poster hanging on your bedroom wall. I mean, if Hobson wrote this shit, and he would, you guys would be clowning the shit out of it. But because X is saying it, it's like deep. One, there are weird and eyebrow-raising bars all over this thing, like with the opener. Thank God I ain't got no baby mama between my feet. If I come inside, she got a king inside her belly. Wow, you did that one. On track 6 from this record, Status, featuring Lil Uzi Vert, there are all these really weird verbal repetitions that make for a really awkward flow all over the track, especially when Nav says things like, Gucci on every sock, got her sucking on my cock, got ice talking rock, rocks, summertime need a drop. There's also a really weird moment on the track Coast to Coast where Nav is talking about, I guess his drug use, his drug addiction, saying, fuck it, I rap about drugs all the time, 'cause I do them too. Double cup filled with mud, I'm about to abuse you. Which I'm thinking in the context of the song, he's talking about like abusing the drugs that he's rapping about, but the inflection of the line does make it feel like it's a weird aside where he's like, hey, now I'm all drugged up and I'm about to abuse you. This bar here about his jeweler hooking him up with canary yellow jewelry and likening that to his jeweler pissing on him was certainly a curious moment. Meanwhile, the lyrics on this track are about as melodramatic as like an Evanescence song. I'm tired of hate, I'm tired of love, I dug my nails into my arms, she turned and left all my scars, what is my worth, my worth? The song is passable, it sounds decent, but there is a head-scratching intro on this song. Like any hardcore hip-hop throwback from the 90s, it kind of starts off with the MCs on the track just talking shit, sounding hard, but they're literally talking about catching chlamydia and gonorrhea and about how that's like G shit, and how Joey's going to catch all the diseases in the world so the world doesn't have any more diseases. It's not really how diseases work. I think Joey understands that, but I'm just not seeing the metaphor. I know I'm taking it more seriously than maybe I should, but this intro is quite possibly the worst thing on this entire album. It made me cringe so fucking hard. I time traveled back to the dark ages where people who didn't bathe regularly and didn't have plumbing knew that catching chlamydia was not good for you. And just to give you a whiff of the lyrics on this thing, mostly it is violence, it's materialism, it's sex, it's completely tasteless. There's a line on this thing where 6ix9ine says, Ray Charles, John Cena shit, I can't see the bitch.